Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman Battle Network Operate Star Force. In the last one we got through most of the school computer. In fact, you can see the boss on screen right now, and here's a Cannon C. I'm now putting that on my folder because that means I have Cannon B, C, and D, which if I get those and use those in that order, a special something will happen, but I don't think I actually get it to happen during the boss fight, unfortunately. Lan, it looks like this lock is linked to something else. You'll need to go find an ID card for verification. I'll bet that Miss Mari has an ID card. Probably. And thankfully, at this point throughout the scenario, we've explored most of the school. So at this point, it's pretty easy to find where she is. With that said, I do appreciate that the scenario actively opens up the school more and more to you, so you always see all of it, because you're going to need to go through some of these later areas for side quests or 100% completion, should the case be. Oh, well, that was easy. But more importantly, there's an HP memory here. And clearly, that's the more important thing here. Ooh. Help her? She did grade my essay badly that one time, but I have to be protagonist. Thank you. I can't believe that guy, Higsby. My ID card? Sure, as thanks for saving me. Please, try to help everyone. The teacher now entrusting a 9-year-old with saving the school. Clearly, this is not a very accurate to how real life would go scenario, but then again, not much is here. But thankfully we have the ID card, so we can use this, and Megaman, the server's just beyond the lock. But be careful. Okay. With that said, you still have to unlock the passcode. And I believe this is where you want to save in certain versions of the game, because I think there's a glitch related to this particular part of the area where if you either die to the boss fight or jack out or something like that. I've never encountered it myself because, well, I never have because I always beat the boss fight, but still. I didn't think you'd make it this far. We've got to stop the announcement program, quick! But being a World 3 slave is fun, isn't it, Mr. Higsby? Yeah, with my new World 3 salary, I can buy lots of rare chips. I knew it, and you call yourself a teacher? I did feel a little bad at first, huh? Mr. Higsby. Yeah, but then I knew I'd do anything for rare chips, huh? Who needs rare chips bought with World 3's dirty money? Silence. Now you face me at Numberman. No problem. Let's go, Mega Man. Battle routine set. Execute. Numberman is a bit of an interesting fight. He never really moves from that spot he's on right there. His attacks all involve him throwing things slowly to your side of the field. That said, only 500 HP, so you don't have much to worry about in terms of getting through if you've done some good exploration and gotten some good battle chips ahead of time. The main attack he's going to do is the Numberballs. He's going to send things down with numbers on them. That number is their HP. Destroy them before you get hit. Plain and simple. He can sometimes summon a time bomb on your side of the field, which will do the usual handy virus time bomb thing where it counts down and it explodes. He can also throw a die to your side of the screen, like a singular dice. And the way that works, it explodes in a 3x3 area, and I think its damage is whatever number is rolled on the dice multiplied by 10 from memory. I think that's how the battle chip for him works later on, but I forget if that's how the actual attack works. It's been a bit since I got hit by it, honestly. The annoying thing about this fight, particularly for later variants of it, so to speak, is that because he never moves, you're really locked into just using long-range options. So if you like using the sword lines of chips against him, you're kind of out of luck. Similarly with like the shotguns or the cannons in the case number bombs are out. With that said, bomb-type chips like the big bomb, line bomb, or the shockwave set of chips in particular is very good against him. With that said, he's still a boss in Mega Man Battle Network 1. So, even though they might have higher HP than most viruses in the game, not much of a threat in any regards, honestly. I'd say by and large, Battle Network 1, well, there's the dice bomb, only really has 2 or 3 hard boss fights, even with a bad folder setup. Partially because I think they just didn't realize the full potential they could do for bosses with the chips and everything until at least the second game. But still, you'll kill him eventually. I guess delete is more accurate. And we get some good Zenny out of beating him too. And, saving the school is also pretty important there. What the hell kind of sound is that? See? You've been in the wrong all along. Let's see you and your rare chips now. Lan, I think he gets it now. I'm right, aren't I? It's true. Lan's right. I should collect chips by busting viruses. I'll be good now, I promise. Trade chips sometime? Sure, why not? But you do have to pay for your crimes. So, you better do something to help everyone out, okay? Lan, restart the server and put the net back to normal. Okay. So is this going to take some super complicated setup that Megaman should do instead, or what? Or it's as simple as turning it off and then on again. Gotcha. That's one of the funniest things in this game to me. Mail, how's it look? Lan, the announcement program stopped. You did it. Hey, not bad, Lan. Not bad? You mean great. Yeah, well, I ain't seen nothing yet. Megaman? What? Good job. Don't relax just yet, Lan. You got English class coming up. Ah, man. I fixed the server too soon. God, if that's not a public school mood. Whew. Rough day today, huh? Ah! What? Today wasn't? Ah, the Metroline's opening today. Hey, let's surprise your dad down at the Scilab. And we can pick up that power-up program for me. Hey, good idea. But first, Yai. For your net, Navi, the net is kind of like a dungeon. Inside, they fight viruses and make links to new areas. Net shops are good for getting Navi power-up programs. Lan, you have to go home and do your homework. What? You're going to go play? Jeez. Sorry, Mail. Quite the day today, huh? And you still won't fight me. I mean, I guess in this case, Gutsman did kind of get destroyed by the viruses, so it's not exactly out of left field. Now, I recall when I played Battle Number 2 for the first time, when they first brought up going to the Metroline, I actually got a little lost at first, because for some reason my brain read it and thought I had to do something on the net. You do not. It is as simple as talking to NPCs and realizing there's a train station that wasn't active until this exact moment. I just read that the PET was infected by Dr. Hikari. Is that your dad? He's a scientist. No, so the name's just a coincidence. Not exactly. Wow, this must be your grandfather then. How cool. I'm sure that won't be storyline relevant at all. Wink, wink, wink. Am I being subtle? I don't think I am. I didn't take a screenwriting course, so I don't know how to do that. The important thing, though, now that we've done that scenario, we can now talk to this kid to give him a dash attack G for repair H. I'm not going to do that because I think I might, if I don't already have repair, there are ways to get it later on. And dash attack Gs are too valuable to me at this point in the game. But I think that is our first chip trade in the game, period. Essentially, there are certain NPCs you can talk to, and they'll be like, hey, I have this chip. Do you have this chip I want? And if you do, congratulations, you can get that chip. Sometimes there's chip codes you can only get through doing that for certain special abilities. Other times, that's the only way you can get certain chips. By and large, they're worth doing in the later games, and there are some very worth doing in this game because it's the easiest way to get certain battle chips, period. But not every one is worth doing. And sometimes they even have little trade quests where you get a chip that's traded to another person for another chip and so on and so forth. BN1, I think, in particular, does that. With that said, the school, by and large, once you finish the main scenario, outside of talking to the NPCs for some additional dialogue, there's nothing too necessary throughout it, barring those chip trades and I think a single side quest later on. There's not even any optional computers you can really jack into in there. With that said, the card here is one, and this one has some new viruses for us from memory. With that said, I forget if I run into them. Oh, I do. This is... okay, it's the Twisties. These things are interesting in that they're not the main attacker. The Twisties summon a satellite that patrol the field, destroying one panel at a time. I believe if you get hit by that, it is 100 damage-ish? With that said, they are in control of the Remo bit, like remote bit line of chips. which does 80 damage and I believe randomly patrols the enemy field, similarly destroying panels. Also, you can encounter Metar-2s here. It's a pretty good place to grind them up. Also, as for the Twisties' drop rate, they only really drop Remobates at ranks 5, 6, and 7 beyond. In particular, if you want the A and C codes, they can drop instead of the bad O code. I think you have to get a 7 or above, and I think at best you're getting that 50-50 at S rank-ish, which means, hey, pretty good rates, but if you're trying to get one particular code, that can be a little annoying with the 50-50 split. And this kid wants a Fire Tower F for a Dino Wave R. Not worth it in any regards. We don't have either of those chips yet, but the Dino Wave, if you can't tell by the name Wave, that's just the third level Shockwave chip. And there are better codes for that outside of R anyway. With that said, here is the Metroline. Let's get over to Scilab. What's the problem here? What do they mean they don't know when the trains will run? Uh-oh. This is the AC/DC Metroline station. Why do I look so glum on opening day, you ask? Looks like there was a landslide and we can't run. Well, shit. That's disastrous. Yeah, I heard about the landslide. Because of that, you can't buy tickets yet. Or did you want something else? What caused it? The whole train system is run by a computer. When there's an accident, the safety program should stop the trains, but the program was hit with a virus. It doesn't look like anyone broke into the control room, so we think that someone got in through the net. Sometimes the Battle Network games don't have you go through a completely unique scenario dungeon in order to progress the plot. Sometimes they have scenarios like this, where they want you to explore the internet in some regard just to get through, like it's the main game's dungeon, so to speak. Sometimes they're handled pretty well. Battle Network 1, I don't think they do at all, really, though, because of how the internet looks, by and large. More on that as we progress. And a challenge from Dex. My Gutsman's ready to take you on if you're not chicken. Oh, boy. You shouldn't have called me chicken, because that means I'm now primed to murder. With that said, there is one little special thing to this. Hey, you ever recover 50L? If you give that to me, I'll net battle you for my link. What he is talking about here in particular is not his @ to access his computer, but /dex that allow us to access Internet Area 2. If you want to know where you can get internet, the recover 50Ls, it's just in Mail's homepage. I forget if it respawns or if it's a one-off, but still, pretty easy to get by and large. I think this is Gutsman 2 at this point. He has more HP and hurts a bit more, plain and simple. That's how the further bosses tend to work in this series by and large. I don't think he gets any additional attacks until even Battle Network 2 from memory. He's just faster. With that said, he's still Gutsman, so while he can hurt, a good thing to do is to stay in the front lines and bait him out into a punch attack, and then surprise him with either a sword attack or a shockwave, something that can cause him to stun. And by and large, he's a very easy boss to stun. Not the easiest, but relatively easy. Because every individual boss fight does have a different stun threshold for how much damage you need to do in one attack. Usually 80 is enough for it in most bosses' cases. A single sword will, but there are some cases where it takes a little more, sometimes a little less. In one case, actually no, technically 2 cases, they can't be stunned at all. Ugh. What's wrong with him? He looks a little pale. Oh. Is he okay? Maybe the shock? Don't tell me you're not going to give me a link again. I can't believe I lost to you. It must be fate. But I always keep my promises. The link is yours. And with that, we now have /dex. We can now access Internet Area 2 and I believe 3 and 4. Thanks, Dex. I owe you one. Hey, wait. Use this too. And we get Gutsman G. You got talent, Lan, so go make me proud. I guess Dex wasn't so bad after all. Yeah. Thanks, Dex. As for how Gutsman's own chip works, you summon him, I believe, at either where you are or at the front of your field. He slams down his fist, and it creates a shockwave that goes across the entire enemy field. I think even bypassing certain holes in the field, doing the listed number of damage to the enemies. With that said, Gutsman G is a very particular chip in that in Battle Network 1, if you already have Dash G and Guard G, you have now won the game. Because it allows us to gain access to what is by and large the best technique in the game We'll talk more about that when we first come across one in a few moments, but just put that, a guard G, and a dash G in your folder, and while to purists I've now cheated the game in a lot of regards, to me I've made it the most efficient. With that said, I'm also going to take a moment to buy a power-up here, just because I want to make sure my stats go up as I go through the game. The one thing that took some getting used to as a kid for Battle Network was that it was an RPG where the only way to up your stats, by and large, until at least the third game beyond, was actively getting Zenny in from fights and buying it instead of getting level ups from just fighting the same enemies over and over and over again. Grinding takes a radically different approach in the Battle Network and Star Force games. With that said, now that we're at this point in the game, we want to come over to this part of Internet 1 and save and walk into this corner. Hi again, Fireman. Throughout the internet for non-NPC-held net navies like Gutsman, once you've beaten a scenario boss, generally about 3 or 4 cutscenes, maybe the next scenario later, their version 2 will spawn on a particular space in the internet. In this case, it's Fireman 2, who is faster, does more damage, and has more HP. Upon beating that particular version of a Navi, you are given their Navi chip. So in this case, we're going to get Fireman F for beating him. And if you're wondering why I'm hesitating a bit, I'm trying to worm my way through my folders so that I get Dash G, Guard G, and Gutsman G all in a row, so I can show you why not only is that combination of chips particularly busted. As for how I'm treating the boss refights in this LP, I'm going to be showing, of course, the first fight of a boss fight at normal speed. The first refight on the internet or in other locations, I'm going to be showing at normal speed by and large. It's the third fight, whenever they happen, that I will be showing at speed up, because not only are those fights a little bit random for other reasons, but it gives you a good sense for how the difficulty scales at normal speed. With that said, by putting Guard G, Dash G, and Gutsman G in order, we get a program advance. In this case, Gut Shoot, which fires forward a complete row-wide attack that passes through enemies for 400 damage. That would instant kill this boss normally. Program advances happen whenever you put certain chips of certain codes in certain orders, and they're usually the most powerful attacks in the game. Think of them almost as limit breaks in a way, but you need to experiment around with chips to figure out what causes what. And there we got Fireman's own chip, one of my favorite chips in the game, Fireman F. It does a row attack of fire elemental damage equal to the attack listed on the chip's actual image. The F code is very malleable, and I like the damage as it is anyway. It's a really good chip. With that said, I should know now that we have more than 3 Navi chips, or well, I guess 3 Navi chips. Operate Star Force changed some things from Battle Network 1. In Battle Network 1, when it came to how you laid out your folders, you could have 10 of any non-Navi chip, and a max of 5 of any Navi chip. So you could have 5 Fireman 1s and 5 Gutsman 1s. But in Operate Star Force, it's more in line with what happened in the later games, where it's max of 5 any non-Navi chips and a 5 Navi chip limit, but only 1 of each chip. With that said, once you've beaten the version 2 of a boss fight, immediately the version 3 becomes available as a random encounter in that area. And the version 3s are annoying not only because they're random encounters, but because they can drop more than 1 battle chip type. They can not only drop the version 1 of any given battle chip that they might have, but they can also drop the version 2 and version 3. What you get is entirely dependent on your busting rank. In this case in particular, I didn't get Fireman 2 or 3 there. I'll get those later. But Fireman V3 will drop Fireman 1 at ranks 5 through 7, Fireman 2 at 7 through 9, and Fireman 3 at 8 through S. Guaranteed, I believe, at S rank if it doesn't drop Zenny. But as you can tell, that gets a little annoying when the best attacks in the game are percentage-based drops from boss fights that are hard to find. Later games would smooth things out a bit so that there are ways to more easily guarantee a refight against a boss, particularly the introduction of sub-chips in Battle Network 2. More on those when we get to that replay. But in Battle Network 1, it's just running around and grinding. There are ways to manipulate when certain bosses or virus fights will show up at certain times, and I think those are consistent across the GBA and DS versions of the game. I'm not aware of them myself, though. You're going to need to probably look around on probably some YouTube videos for frame-perfect inputs or speedrunner boards to find those out in particular. I've seen many throughout my time watching various PN speedrunners. I just am not good at them. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 6, we're going to go see what's wrong with the Metroline. See you guys then.